A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant political maneuver, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney announced the cancellation of a controversial digital services tax, DST, that was set to impose a 3% levy on major tech companies, including giants like Amazon and Meta. This decision comes in the wake of intense pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump, who labeled the tax a blatant attack on American businesses. The DST, which was expected to generate approximately $3 billion in revenue for Canada, was scheduled to take effect on Monday but was swiftly scrapped after a phone call between Carney and Trump. The Canadian government had initially introduced the digital services tax as a means to level the playing field for local businesses, as it aimed to target U.S. tech firms that dominate the advertising market in Canada. With an estimated 70% of ad revenue in the country going to these foreign companies, the tax was seen as a necessary step to ensure that they contribute fairly to the Canadian economy. However, the U.S. government has been vocal in its opposition to the tax, arguing that it unfairly burdens American companies. The move to rescind the DST has been interpreted as a strategic retreat by Canada in anticipation of a broader trade agreement with the United States. Following Trump's announcement to suspend trade talks due to the impending tax, Carney's government quickly shifted gears, recognizing the potential economic fallout from a prolonged trade standoff. In a statement, Carney emphasized that the decision was made with the best interests of Canadian workers and businesses in mind, as both nations aim to finalize a trade deal by July 21st. The implications of this decision are far-reaching. Companies like Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, saw an immediate uptick in their stock prices following the announcement, reflecting investor relief at the avoidance of a tax that could have significantly impacted their operations in Canada. Conversely, Amazon's stock experienced a slight decline, indicative of the mixed reactions from the market. Critics of the tax argued that it would lead to increased costs for Canadian consumers and businesses, as companies like Google indicated that they would raise advertising rates to offset the tax burden. The cancellation of the DST is likely to be welcomed by local businesses that feared being squeezed by rising costs in a competitive marketplace. Despite the apparent victory for Trump and the tech companies, the Canadian government has not ruled out the possibility of revisiting the digital services tax in the future. Carney's administration has signaled that while the immediate focus is on securing a favorable trade deal, the underlying issues that necessitated the tax, such as the dominance of U.S. tech firms in the Canadian market, remain unresolved. As the trade negotiations progress, both countries will need to navigate a complex landscape marked by tariffs and trade barriers that have already strained relations. With Canada and the U.S. being each other's largest trading partners, the stakes are high for both economies. The outcome of these negotiations will not only affect the immediate economic landscape but could also set the tone for future interactions between the two nations. In conclusion, the scrapping of the digital services tax marks a pivotal moment in Canada-U.S. relations, reflecting the delicate balance of power and economic interests at play. As Prime Minister Carney moves forward with trade discussions, all eyes will be on the negotiations scheduled for July 21st, where the potential for a comprehensive trade agreement hangs in the balance. The political ramifications of this decision will likely reverberate through both countries for years to come, as they seek to establish a more equitable economic relationship in an increasingly digital world. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.